Novo. You might have seen a similar essay that I did a little while ago. I just make things when I have some thoughts that I really think might be worth sharing with people. I want to start off with I always throw in a poem. I'm always pushing poetry, but a poem that's been going through my head the last few days. And it is by the great Polish poet who's unfortunately now dead. She won the Nobel Prize, Wisława Szymborska. And the poem is, you may know it, The End and the Beginning. After every war, someone has to clean up. Things won't straighten themselves up after all. Someone has to push the rubble to the side of the road so the corpse-filled wagons can pass. Someone has to get mired in scum and ashes, sofa springs, splintered glass, and bloody rags. Someone has to drag in a girder to prop up a wall. Someone has to glaze a window, rehang a door. Photogenic it's not, and it takes years. All the cameras have left for another war. The poem is longer than that, but that gives you my feelings right now as I speak in the middle of a terrible, terrible war. How do we cope with this is what I have been thinking about. And it's not so important how I cope with it. I wanted to look at how really incredible people cope with life. And there are ways. There is literature. There is photography. There are all the arts. There's painting. And fortunately, I have found somebody that I think distills perfectly how one person copes with it, and I think you can apply it yourselves. This is a photographer. He's a Magnum photographer. He's like James Nachtwey. He lives on war fronts. I don't know how these people do it, but they do. And his name is Gilles. It's French. Gilles Perez. He is half American. His mother was American. His father was French. He was born in France. He grew up in France. So he is French. But he's also half American, so he now lives in Brooklyn like everybody else. But he's half and half. And I'm going to give you some sites that you can go to that will be on this video so that you can really immerse yourself if you want to, as I have, and listen to this really intelligent person who has something to share. Decided to be a photographer by chance, like many photographers, and made his name in quotes, the Troubles, as they're called in Ireland, which was between 68 and 97 or 96, I think. He went to Northern Ireland and happened to be there, he placed himself with many, many, many other photographers on what became known as Bloody Sunday, and got photographs that they are iconic, they're world famous, and they were used in tribunals, etc., because he caught on film 14, in quotes, innocent Englishmen Irishmen were killed by the English military that day. And he happened to have caught this. I don't know, he would kill me if he didn't happen. He was there. He was right in the middle of it and got these incredible photographs. Everything that I say about him, we're going to put on this little essay links so that you can go and see all his work, see interviews with him. Anyway, that's where he really made his name. And then he spent his life, Rwanda, Bosnia, you name it, he's been there. And his photos, you'll recognize many of them. So I started to think, how in the world, why? how is this done? I know James Nachtwey, I've thought about that, but he has never articulated or been able, I thought, to really articulate why he was drawn to this. But Gilles does. He's been asked about why he does this. And what he said is, I don't trust words, I trust pictures, which may be very different from many people. He said, I don't care so much about good photography. I'm trying to capture something extremely important. When he was interviewed about his book that recently came out, and it's called Whatever You Say, Say Nothing. This is a book. It costs $400. It's only photographs. It's just been published like a year ago of this fighting in Ireland. It's taken all this time to get the book out, and he is meticulous and he is painstaking in his demands about how his shows are hung, how his books look. He doesn't want anything extra. He feels that the photographs should speak for themselves, and that's how he wants them presented. And as I say, you can see all this, just go online. So he was asked, how did you arrive at this place? And he said, I want to be in this no man's land, so to speak, referring back to Rumi's quote, I think, in this no man's land, between categories. I just want to be there with my camera, and I want to try and make sense out of this world. What I am seeing is the worst of the worst, and I want to try and make sense of it. And the way I do it is taking the photographs. I mean, for me I couldn't even hold the camera. This is an incredible thing when you think about this war photography. But that's what he wants. And he says, once I get there, in the middle of it, it's not art, it's not photojournalism, it is me trying to make sense of the world. And I think that's what most of us are, trying to make sense of the world. I want to read you a few of his quotes, things that he said. He said, as I've told you, I don't trust words, I trust pictures. I find this incredible. I could not live not trusting words, but he doesn't. He says he's seen too many times where it can be twisted. I don't care so much about good photography. It doesn't have to be good. I'm just gathering evidence for history. So, I mean, his parameters are quite different than many people. He says, I'm proposing to you that photography is a language on its own. And without going through words, I'm forcing you to really look. We're entering into an age in which visual language is defined by a dialogue between photographers and audiences. And the photograph is still a space to reorganize our thoughts about reality and about our place in the world. This is the most important thing to me, because hopefully we're all trying to find out about where we are in the world. It's very confusing and frightening now. How do we disentangle from the surface of reality? And I think that is what everybody wants to do and intends to do. You have to disentangle from the surface of reality to know what you think and how do you feel. And this man has done it with his photographs. People do it with music. People do it with all sorts of art. But here is something about photography that I had never thought before. There's many, many ways to do this. And I strongly suggest that you follow up on Gilles and see what he's done. See you.